Dead End City!
Irashaimase! Hello and welcome to Fataris' Kitchen. I'm your host, Chef Fataris. It's time once again for Shoot 'em Up Saturday, and on the menu this week we have Dead End City. Some post-apocalyptic, arcade-style action. What kind of taste will it have? Let's get cooking and find out. From developer Pixel Licker, Dead End City released to Steam in October of 2022. This is a title I previously checked out during Next Fest in summer of 2022, and it was one I was really looking forward to the full game. So here we find ourselves with the full release, and right off the bat I can say this is one that I highly recommend, especially if you're a fan of games like Galaga and you like that twist of having some post-apocalyptic Mad Max vibes thrown in there. Solid recommend. But you don't have to take my word for it. There's a demo on the Steam page, so if you like what you see here, check that out and see if it's for you. With all that said, diving into the game itself. So from the menu here, you have the option to look at the how to play. It's relatively simple, but it is nice that they cover some of the mechanics there. High scores, online leaderboards here. There's some extras, a shop, a gallery, and the ability to turn on some things you can purchase in the shops, some decent options, and then of course the game start. Starting the game, we're taken to the choice between arcade and score attack. Once you select arcade, your difficulty, normal and hard. Hard is locked until you either defeat the game or you purchase it in the shop, and we'll kind of get to that in just a moment. Starting normal, we're taken to our chariot select. So your chariot, basically your car, is going to be your vehicle for this particular game. There's 5 cars here, but initially we only have the Ripper available. It's possible to unlock all the other cars through 2 different methods, which I really appreciate. So the Ripper has, they each have different shot types. So you've got your primary shot type and then a special shot. So for the Ripper, it's a Gatling. For the Look, it's a flame, basically a flamethrower. The Wraith has a mortar. The Litter Box has a hairball, and that's the one we're going to be taking for today, and the Little Piston has a laser. So for our purposes today, I wanted to show off the Litter Box since it does change up some of the gameplay. Selecting the game sends us into this really stylish intro here where we come ripping out of this service station, and each of the characters has their own reason for being here in this game. Basically, they're looking to defeat this gang of, rather evil individuals led by Scorpio. So with that said, the gameplay itself is reminiscent of Galaga. You've got formations that spawn at the top that are very similar, with enemies coming in from either side in a very Galaga-like pattern. As far as our movement, we can go all the way up or down, though I do recommend staying towards the bottom, as some of those formations can run into your car if you happen to be a little bit further up. So now let's talk about some of the other mechanics. In the bottom left, there's our fuel, which basically acts as our life. You can replenish that by collecting fuel canisters dropped by the enemies, or you do get a fuel bonus at the end of every wave. The way the stages are broken down, there's 5 areas that have 7 waves, then a stronghold, then a boss, and potentially an optional boss after that. So as far as our attacks are concerned, you have your main shot, which can be powered up through this mechanic called Top Off. So if you collect enough fuel to fill up your fuel bar, you'll enter the Top Off stage. And you can do that as well from the results screen. What the Top Off does is it gives you an enhanced shot, and that will vary depending on your chariot. So that's part of why I took the Litter Box is A, I really like its special attack, and B, its shot, both its default and its top-off shot, I feel are the best the game has to offer. You have a neat double shot in normal mode, and in top-off mode you're firing a triple shot. As far as the special, we go and send cats at the enemies to scratch them all up. So, in normal gameplay, when you attack enemies or defeat enemies, a lot of times you're going to get ammo via kind of looks like Molotov cocktails or ammo boxes, and those will fill up your ammo in the bottom right there for your special attack. But for the Litter Box, it changes that ammunition into fish, because we're sending cats at the enemies and not like some other kind of attack. Not the most powerful, but it's pretty neat. Anyway, in addition to that, if you happen to fill up all the charges you can have of your special attack on like an individual chariot, then you'll enter what's like displayed as fuel time. So instead of dropping fish, the enemies will instead drop fuel. And this is great as it allows us to stay, have a much greater uptime in our particular top-off, which I feel ultimately amounts to more damage than the special attacks you would otherwise be using. So for me, that's a preference into the way that you would be customizing your gameplay. Though your mileage may vary as what you're looking for. It also, staying in top off like or staying in fuel time is also helpful if you're playing a difficult stage and having rough time staying alive, especially against some of the bosses. Alright, with that said, we're done with the 7 ways of Stage 1 and the Stronghold. Now we find ourselves against the boss. So this is Stage 1 boss, which I did show in the demo that I played during Next Fest, the Unicorn. And this fight's basically like stayed the same. But one thing that is different, so if you were to defeat this boss without taking damage, we would unlock a special fight after this, which would be to unlock the first of the additional chariots, the Look. I'm going to intentionally take some damage there so that we don't get to that point, as it does slow things down, and those fights are actually quite difficult. It's possible to game over on them, and if you had a good multiplier going, it will ruin like that multiplier. Okay, so that's the Unicorn down. We'll just go up like if you shoot the boss after you defeat them, you do get some extra points, so bonus for like score. And with that, let's move on to score as we go to the railway. So the scoring in this game is pretty awesome. You gain a multiplier by attacking enemies while in top off mode. And if you're able to max out the multiplier at ×9, there are a couple things that happen. First off, the enemies will start dropping gold medals when they're defeated, and you'll get additional bonuses when you complete a wave. So you get bonuses for the number of enemies defeated. If you defeat all the enemies in a wave, you get 10,000 points. If you also get those 10,000 points and you're at ×9 multiplier, you get an extra 20,000 points. That adds up real quick. So that's how you can aim for high scores. Why do high scores matter? Well, A, there's the online leaderboard, but B, your score translates directly to points that you use in the shop. So for every 100 points you earn on a run, you'll gain 1 point in like the shop. And what can you buy in the shop? Well, as an example, you can unlock the hard difficulty if you haven't previously unlocked it. You can purchase the score attacks for the stages there, some vehicle customization, or if you're having difficulty unlocking the vehicles, so perfecting a boss and then fighting the chariot driver afterwards, you can unlock the chariot, which is greatly appreciated. So all of that adds up to what I feel is a great game. I've loved my time with that, but admittedly, in my attempts to unlock everything, I have kind of hit a little bit of burnout on the grind. And that brings me to my flavors for it. So as far as the minus flavors are concerned, that's one that's a little bit more on me. I just played it enough over the course of a few days that I've kind of hit a burnout point. That said, I still really enjoy every single time I pick up and start a run. It's just a lot of fun. Sometimes just later in the run, it's like, oh man, are we there yet? And then this is a little less of a nitpick and more of something that I feel would be fun to see. So the game is very balanced as is, but it would have kind of been fun to see some additional weapons, abilities, or even things like speed ups and vulnerabilities, that sort of thing, available for your chariot, either through purchase or just enemy drops. I think that would have been pretty neat. And also just a little bit more variety in the gameplay, so something like an endless mode would have been truly awesome. But as far as the plus flavors are concerned, I love the way the scoring works in this game. It's fun to try and set the best scores you can with individual chariots. It's just really satisfying to me personally. Then there's the great pixel art. Despite the fact this is a top-down view, I feel it does an excellent job of showing off the various enemies and both your vehicles as well as the enemies and the bosses in particular. Although the backgrounds themselves, of course, by necessity, are fairly repeating. Then you have all those unlockables, and just the great appreciation from me that things like the various other drivers are unlockables that you can get through other methods than necessarily doing it through the one in-game method. I really appreciate that kind of flexibility in the game design. And lastly, this game is just good, classic, but modern arcade retro fun. So I highly encourage you to check this one out. If nothing else, have a look at the demo on Steam, and you can decide if this one is for you or not. But from the chef, this one has a high recommendation. Alright, that'll just about wrap it up for this week's episode of Shoot 'em Up Saturday. As always, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I hope you yourself have a wonderful week, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.